if we all work together and do it a real formal way, then we can reduce it'll be cheaper than you going and doing it on your own. That's kind of the co-op type of thing. So that's what's going on. Systemizing it, understanding that you need marketing assets while while people are just focused on Airbnb. Let's go clean up the rest of the market.
Welcome to the Investor Financing Podcast, where we interview real estate investors and lenders so you can learn all the secrets to getting your projects funded and scale your portfolio. And now, your host, Beau Eckstein.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Investor Financing Podcast. I'm your host, Beau Eckstein, and today we have a very special guest, a repeat speaker, a guest on the show, Mr. Al Williamson, and we're going to dive deep today into automation using virtual assistants, and we're going to dive deep into why this is Al's chosen model for many, many years. It's proven. He's also an expert in arbitrage. And for people that don't know what arbitrage is, that's where you don't actually own the property. You have like a master lease on the property and you make the spread essentially. You furnish it, you run the business and make the spread. So Al, welcome back to the show, and always appreciate your time and enjoy our conversations. How are you doing today?
Thank you for all those gifts you showered me with. I appreciate that. I absolutely come back anytime. I got a lot to share with you today. You know, back in 1995, 96, I was working as a consultant. I was doing some work for Chevron in Port Arthur, Texas. And I was out there for 6 months, and they had me in the Holiday Inn Express. And then I was just going crazy. An apartment, say, we got these apartments for you over down the street, and it's going to be furnished. We got towel service, and it's cheaper. You want to do that? And it's like, absolutely. I'm going to be able to save a little bit on my housing allowance. So it was great. So that was a 5-month stay back in 96. That was my first time actually experiencing the corporate housing part.
So right now, are you not heavy on buying and you're more doing the arbitrage model because the market's peaking?
Well, yeah, right now I'm controlling a lot through arbitrage, and I'm also increasing my margins on the properties I already own by flipping them over to this corporate housing model. So this is like one of my units that I started documenting back in 2005. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath apartment. Nothing to it. Right now, the market rent for this here in Sacramento would be about a little bit over $1,000. But the thing that I wanted to point out about when you're doing shorts, Airbnb, the more people you get in there, the more profit, because you charge per person. You know, it's kind of like that model. But when you're doing long term, you're keeping your rates the same. So the fewer people you have in there for the same rate is good for you. So that's why I started, I picked for this place, I said, the highest best use, because I'm always trying to get highest best use, is a set of coworkers. Okay. So this is kind of what I did. I want low occupancy. So no pull-out mattresses, no pull-out couches. You see, I'm advertising a one person, the ultimate home theater for one person, because I'm trying to keep occupancy low. And another thing I did is I punched a hole into the closet, and I stole some space and put a stackable washer and dryer. This technology of just these portable washers and dryers kind of coming out of the RV industry, just a regular outlet. You don't need 220 anymore. So that's the big thing. You can take any apartment and put these in there, and dramatically increase your income. It's an asset that pays for itself in about 7 months. This asset will pay for itself. And if you're in a commercial building, so you know what it means to put an extra $90 onto your monthly rent. You know what that means.
Right.
But what I wanted to share with everybody is, if you're going after two co-workers for this corporate housing thing, traditionally this is the thing about $11.90 per month. That's how much I rent this place unfurnished, traditional landlord. But by adding this thing, switching it over with corporate housing, and when I put this washer and dryer in it, there's no question. Either they can stay at a hotel, pay more, and go downstairs and do their laundry, or they can stay with me for cheaper, do their laundry on site. What is there any question? Have more privacy? Everything. It's just no question. I just stay filled because you're doing this. This is a smart thing to do. No hotel can compete with this. But by doing that, I switched over. The difference is a 93% increase in my monthly rent.
So this property, is this an arbitrage? Is it?
No, it's something I own.
Okay.
But if you did have something that you didn't own, you could make arrangements with the owner to tack on the drain line to the outside of the wall, like this, and then connect it under your kitchen sink. The water flow at full speed. You got to add that piece. That's like your air vent. Okay, and then you a portable washer and dryer. You just tack it on. But see, unfurnished, this thing would be about $1,100 in Sacramento, California right now. And if I make it a corporate rental, that means it's fully enclosed. They don't have to go outside to do their laundry. I bump it up by over $1,000. That's 100% increase in cash flow by just adding a few little things. So this is my investment strategy. Change the use of what's there, and either double or triple the value of your own property. Well, I'm doubling the cash flow. You know what that does to my values of this 8-unit building, right?
So have you converted every unit to furnished corporate rentals inside?
I'm in the process of it. If my long-term tenants are there, I don't displace them.
Yeah.
That changes people's lives. That having a little bit of margin so that they're not overdrafting and able to save, and that puts them on an upward spiral. That's all it takes. You don't have to go running all over the place in shiny object.
And you can book these. You can be on Airbnb. You could be on VRBO, right?
Right.
I mean, where do most furnished corporate rentals get booked from?
We're going to be talking. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, those places definitely for sure. But if you put on a hat that you're a general manager of a hotel, I use those strategies and many more. I'm not going to run my business off of someone else's platform like Airbnb. I'm going to use them, but I'm going to have my own marketing assets, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about. Talk to everyone about.
You're listening to the Investor Financing Podcast. We'll be right back after this break.
Are you in the market for a commercial loan? Did you find the perfect opportunity but need funding? Have a special situation? At Find the Bank, you will get quotes with competitive rates and terms from multiple lenders without any hassles. Have a multifamily property, construction project, owner-user property, industrial, mixed use, hotel? At Find the Bank, you can get nearly any kind of commercial financing. The process is simple. Once you send us some information about you and your property, we send back a quote sheet. Then we quickly connect you with an advisor. You won't spend hours calling multiple banks trying to find the right person to talk to. We'll connect you fast to the right person, hassle-free. Better terms than you could get on your own. Go to findthebank.com and complete the form. An advisor will be connected with you within minutes to discuss your specific financing needs.
So this is like the flow chart. Remember, like as you introduced me, I've been working on how do I make money off of my virtual assistant? How do I free up time for myself and systematize things and do that? So this is the flow chart for getting started with extended stay rentals. That's what I call them, or some people call them midterm rentals. They're longer than 30 days. Okay, I call them long shorts. Is you can if you want to start, I got some resources for you. I have a whole course that Beau talked to you about to help you do this correctly. And then if you have a place that you own, you can follow this part of the trap. If you don't have a place, you still can get going because we're going to be making the margin. You can make a profit off of other people's places. And then it takes you through this process. But I wanted to focus on this section of this system where you market. You got to be a strong marketer, or even could be on Airbnb and be a weak marketer. You can get going right now in 2021 because there's such a pent up demand. Okay, you can make it. So you're going to welcome your guests, and then you're going to get paid. They pay you the next day. These Airbnb and VRBO does. Okay. If you're doing it yourself, you get paid up front, just like a regular landlord. Okay. First month's rent, security deposit. So you get paid. That's the thing. And then then there's like we book for 2 months, 3 months, and here's the thing right here. You're doing things while you're booked. You're not just sitting on your hands. And then the goal is to get great reviews, right? And then think if you want to expand or not. But you're just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You follow what I'm saying, Beau?
Yes.
So you're doing that. So let's zero in on here. Here's the secret sauce. This is how you get that 3% of difference, how you differentiate yourself and get geometric growth doing this. Is while you're booked for 6 months, a little bit at a time, you're creating marketing assets. You're creating Google sites. You're contacting the local company that's by you. You're building a small chit chat relationship with the HR manager of the big company that's in town. Okay, so this is the magic sauce right here. This is how you differentiate yourself. And if you want to dominate your market, like I always talk about preeminence, being the preeminent housing provider for business travelers or for which includes nurses, IT professionals, campaigners, all those things, all those people who are staying, everyone who's staying at your local extended stay hotel, becoming an option for them. Okay, you have to keep building and growing your marketing, which could be just posting something on Instagram once a month. You can do that. Okay, let's talk about herding. This is what's new. I call it landlord science, right? Ways landlords can increase their income and reduce their expenses. So I'm talking about herding because it's part of behavioral economics, okay, which is important. And bear with me, Beau, just play along. If you're in this crowd of people, okay, and you always hear safety in numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're right here, how do you feel?
Safe.
Yeah, right. You're insulated, right? And that's what people like, especially when there's uncertainty around them. That's why you always go and pick whatever has the most Amazon reviews. Okay, so this is the dynamic that it's got even stronger. This is the dynamic that I want to pinpoint on today. How do you feel right here?
A little bit vulnerable right
Yeah,
there.
you could get hurt somehow, right? If you're on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why people really hesitant to be leaders, because you have to be on the edge, right? We naturally don't want to put ourselves out. Now, here's the scariest thing in the world. That's the scariest thing in the world. All right, for most people, that separating anything. But here's where I'm getting with this. Ants do this herding. They always they always follow what other person did. And even this, if 2 coffee shops open up and you're new in town, like these travelers, you're a traveler, you're new in town, you see 2 coffee shops, they may have equal quality, but one person there's a person inside of one. You see one person in their coffee and the other one's completely empty. Which one are you going to go to?
Usually the one with more people.
Herding, right? That is, and that's directly related to your income. It's directly, if you don't know about the herding, you're going to make less money. So the question is, how do we profit from herding? This is what I'm going to release to you guys. I haven't talked about this anywhere yet. There's a guy named Robert Cialdini. He wrote this book in 2006, kind of documenting the 6 principles of influence. It's a very well renowned, but he did an update in 2021, just in May, just came out. And he says, everything's still the same. Everything's still the same. But what has caught him by surprise, the thing that's gone off the chain in the internet world, is social proof. You got to have it. You got to have reviews. People are looking, especially when there's uncertainty because of herding. You got to have reviews, and that means this is what my point is. If all your reviews are on Airbnb, you will never be able to leave that platform.
Interesting. I love the way you just got me to think about that. You took me around and then I just got it, and it makes sense that you need reviews on your own platform, because you do not want to be, basically
It's so important.
held hostage.
We like just to do what's easy, but it's life and death, whether you have reviews on multiple platforms, especially the ones that you have control over. So I want to drive that home. That's the first way of profiting is have multiple reviews. And I have, in my trainings, I talk about how exactly to get Yelp reviews, to get Google listings and Facebook. And that's why it's so important. And that's going to tie into why you need a virtual assistant. The second way to make money off of herding is you can direct people. You can let your guests know that, hey, most people who come here enjoy this restaurant. And guess where they're going to go? Spend money.
That restaurant.
Yeah, if you tell people, hey, this is where people who come and stay in this unit, they enjoy whatever, you are driving traffic for sure to somebody's place, and you can work out a deal or however the affiliate relationship is. But that's a very easy way, and it's going to happen. The next part of it is you can reduce your expenses. You see this done. You go to a hotel when you're out traveling. Beau, you're probably at those fancy hotels,
Mm-hmm.
and you may see them a little sign in the bathroom that says, save the environment, reuse your towel or something like that. They are reducing their expenses. They're making money off of herding. They know that you have a drive to be like everyone else who stayed in that unit and be like other people.
Yes, most people. Yes.
Yeah, most people is how we're wired. So reducing, you can make money and reduce expenses. Those words help us conserve. We're sustainable unit. All that stuff is going to help you get that extra 1-2% of profitability out of your unit just by understanding this principle. And here's the thing: a lot of these things your virtual assistant can do for you, especially creating those marketing assets that we talked about that are so important. Those that gives people a sense that you've been around for a while and you have credibility and you have all these reviews on all over the site. They see that you're a reputable brand and not just the Airbnb host. You're going to get a disproportionate amount of the calls and the inquiries and people who aren't using Airbnb, which is the majority of the market, are going to be able to find you and trust you.
And so let's kind of talk about, I know you're writing a book on virtual assistants. I'm a big fan of virtual assistants. I have 3 full-time virtual assistants from the Philippines to help me with my lending business. And when I first started working with VAs years and years ago, the mistakes I made, and I want to see, obviously your book's going to probably help address a lot of these issues, was I didn't understand that it's not the VA's fault that I'm not giving them good instructions, right? So it all starts with a SOP, a standard operating procedure.
Right.
So let's kind of dive into the plan with the book. Is that going to come out? Is that going to be included in your courses? Where is this going with the whole virtual assistants?
The book is out right now. I'm getting ready to make a bigger launch right now. It's called the Airbnb Virtual Assistant Handbook, and it's on Amazon. And one thing that's in there is this calendar of tasks. Like you said, your virtual assistant is looking for guidance from you. They're a reflection of your leadership, to cut right to it. So in the book, I come up with, if it's the 1st of the month, June 1st right now, they go and they look on what's task number 1. If it's the 17th, they go and say, hey, what's task number 17? And all those things, so they know exactly what to do every day. And each thing is helping you build a marketing asset, helping you reduce your expenses, and also helping you look more credible. Those are the things that are happening every day that's going to separate you. We're talking about preeminence, because completely dominating your market. That's what does it. And that's what your VA can do for you. So having that calendar, as simple as it is, it clears up the confusion. If you can clear up the confusion, you kind of release the money right there.
In your business, are you going to then replace yourself eventually where you have a VA that handles guests' questions and things like that if they can't get something to work? So my friend that I told you about before we got on air, he says, okay, I got 3 of these Airbnbs going, and that's a lot of, I'm granted it's a lot more turnover than what you're dealing with. But he's like, this is my biggest frustration. And he wants to get some sort of VA either in the States or out of state. And I said, this is something that you want to put a lot of thought in, right? Because even if it costs you X amount of dollars per month, if you don't have to deal with it, like, because he has his own other business, right? He's making a lot of money doing his sales business. And he really, his goal was try to get this passive, right? And to be passive means that you're really not doing much in the business after you do the initial setup.
Right.
So what's the future look like in that category as far as virtual assistants?
Well, because of that, just like you said, my wife is, to me, it's like, well, what happens if something happens to you? So I've been in the process of replacing myself. So I created a VA company just for extended stay rentals, just for that. And then I work with a programmer to build an app that does everything, makes the decisions. So the goal, what we do because of this is all the back end decisions. We supplement the back end of things for people, but you still need your own operating person. Everyone needs their own operating person to make sure the handyman shows up, the maid service. We do all the filing and all the lease agreement management paperwork, chasing things down, filing, and build marketing assets because they're so critical. And coming at it from, if we all work together and do it a real formal way, then we can reduce it'll be cheaper than you going and doing it on your own. That's kind of the co-op type of thing. So that's what's going on, systemizing it, understanding that you need marketing assets while people are just focused on Airbnb. Let's go clean up the rest of the market.
Okay, so your system will essentially, when you program in like the stay and everything, it generates lease agreements and things like that, or is that still?
That's human. Yeah, we do what? So what we do is implement that book, the handbook. We do everything that's in there.
So that's the Amazon book that we're going to link below in the.
That's the Amazon book.
Okay, we'll link back.
Yeah. So we are the virtual. So say you have a guest who wants to do a direct booking with you. Okay. You forward their name and we already have your information. You just forward that to us, and we have them fill out your application, and we manage that through DocuSign. We have them fill out your lease, and we manage that, and then we go file that in the cloud for you. And then the next step is we send them a text message the day after to check up on them after they moved in. 15 days before move out, we send them another message. Hey, would you like to extend? How's it going? Everything. We do the midterm surprise. I'll come back and talk to you about the midterm surprise. That's the critical thing. It's another really small thing that makes all the difference. And then 2 days before move out, giving them move out instructions. All these things are make sure that those happen so that you don't have to think about it. They have a good touch experience, know that they're cared about, and you don't have to think about it. It's all done for you.
Does your system also have like a third-party credit reporting company that the applicant can go and run their credit and background check, or how would that look like?
We use apartments.com for that. Yeah, or whatever so we'd be assisting you, you'd be the owner.
Yeah.
We're assisting you we try to go through everything through apartments.com and take it from there.
So apartment.com, if you can sign up with them, like if I wanted to get one of my rentals converted to a corporate rental, they'll do the credit report. You send the link to the potential tenant,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and they'll do a background and credit, and you get a copy of it. They get a copy of it, and then you can make a determination if their credit worthiness.
Right.
And then what would be your recommendation for, once these, like I started building my own book of business and traffic and marketing, as far as collection of first or the payment and the security deposit. Are you using do you recommend any apps like, which to make payments through and so forth? Do you do that?
Yeah.
Apartments.com, or where would you recommend?
Apartments.com has it all, the ACH part done for you. We still use Venmo and PayPal and everything else, but we're developing our own payment portal to make it really seamless. We want to make it seamless on the guests. So they get in, we tell them, we give them a table and tell them the dates as part of the lease agreement. Tell them how much it is for that period of time, and do all the prorates, and just let the software draft it. So it's all done by accounting.
So I'd give you my user and password internally to this company, and they would do all the prorations and send out the email for me on my behalf.
Yeah, we do it all. We do it all for you. We become for Airbnb would be your co-host.
Right.
For VRBO, we use your information, but for those two, but we're also building assets for you. We're building a website for each, a little Google site for each unit, so that if people come in from Furnished Finders, so to speak, they come from Furnished Finders, and your unit's not available, that particular one, we say, oh, hey, that one's not available, but here's Beau's other properties. You may want to look at these, and we'll share with them a Google site, and that's what we do.
What's this all going to look like 5 years from now for you?
So what I'm working on right now, yeah, I absolutely, the best thing, and what I feel like my mission is to collect resignation letters. I love doing that. I've done that in the past. We have about 7 so far, taking people all the way to retiring or replacing their income. I want to do more of that. That's a big impact. I'm working on partnering with people to fill up my kids with a self-directed IRAs through rental arbitrage and partnership. It's all about marketing. If you got the marketing together, you can make your properties that you own 2 to 3 times more profitable. And if you don't own them, you can take someone else's property and make it more profitable and grab the middle. It's understanding the marketing and actually doing it better than people who just want to do Airbnb. I'm really enjoying helping other people. That's probably the most fun I have. And these little things, the little landlord science and trying to take principles and figure out how to get an extra 3-6% per month out of a property. I love that.
And when you get started on the arbitrage model, let's say you don't own any real estate and you're not in a position to buy necessarily, but you love this model and you're like, hey, I can see myself, let's get some arbitrage going. I'm guessing your training walks you through, or it gives you some guidance. Like I think the fear that most of us have is that, how do we approach? I mean, I can go on to Zillow right now and look for properties for rent. How do I approach these people in a way that's going to be, it's not going to sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, do you deliver? Are you making calls? Can you automate this with a virtual assistant that they go out and reach out to properties for lease and say, hey, would you be open to me? I run a corporate rental business and this is a great property. Give us a little bit of advice on that. I know we got to buy your course to get the goods of the woods, but give us a little taste.
You start with thinking about the person you're talking to, self-interest. You start by that because you want them to say yes. They have to see your proposal as something that's good for them. Okay, so now that we can meet people in person, all you have to do is show up at your local RIA, or Real Estate Investment Association, and ask if there's any landlords going through an eviction. And then if you see who they are, you can go and talk to them. Hey, will you let my corporate housing company take over your place? We're make it trouble-free for you. So they have high pain, you're giving them a solution, and you got it. Or you can also just like it's a tight rental market all over the country, but there's a lot of landlords who've let their properties kind of decline a little bit because landlords are broke because they're just breaking because maintenance costs so much. Yeah. So offering to do an exterior paint job for them or do something for them to help them take care of their property is in exchange for a 5-year lease. That's another way of doing it. Again, it's got to be in that person's self-interest, right? That's the name of the game, is make it in their self-interest. All the way down, your VA can absolutely be looking at your rental market and make recommendations for you. But if you want to get something going in this week, if you want to make money this week, you got to do something that's uncomfortable for you. You got to pick up the phone. You got to talk to people. That's what it is.
CTP, talk to people.
You can't hide behind the computer.
You know, it's interesting what you just said, because I just got this book. It's called High Profit Prospecting, Gap Selling. What's the other book I'm reading right now or listening to? Smart Calling, actually. It's the one I just bought the other day. So I agree. Yeah. So really, to get started, it's simple. You know, you can go buy the book below. Amazon. The VA's kind of added later, but what you should really do is, if you're really serious, you know, maybe look at getting Al as your mentor. But if you're just, hey, I don't have much money right now, I just need to try to do something, it's really about taking action. Well, Al, this has been another great call. Actually, I think this was better than the last one we did, because we really dove deep, and I liked how you walked us through just the herding mentality, and just like makes you think on just the little things in life, those little tweaks. I loved how you talked about just, you know, how do you squeeze out 1%, 2%, 3%, 5%, 6% more profitability at each door. And then, so, you know, when you have 5 doors and you got 6% increase on those 5 doors, it's substantial, times 12, times, you know, years to come. And I think when you look at it that way, you're only 1 door away.
Yeah.
1 door away, right?
I like it.
Thank you, everybody, for the show. I'm going to put the link to the book, the link to the mentorship program below. All right, people. Thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share these podcast episodes, and we'll see you on the next show. And thank you, Al.
All right, man.